So Ryan Bowen just posted this video. Let's talk about it. So the subject that he's bringing up is he's generally not really strong, but he's really good at arm wrestling. Like, how does that make sense? And for a lot of people, it doesn't. They think it's, there's always this debate. Is it strength or is it technique? Or is it, something in between? So first let's talk about Ryan. He hasn't done real general training pretty much ever. And he's still really good at arm wrestling. And he's like, this really doesn't make sense, do I need to get stronger? Do I continue doing this? And it's always a question what you should be doing. And I look at this like this. So Ryan spent a lot of time on arm wrestling table. And he has developed all the strengths, all the techniques, and everything else. In my opinion, there's a limit. There's a limit what you can do. I see this a lot of times. There's a lot of guys that come in, they don't do real arm wrestling training, in a gym. Do not work on specific lifts, do not do general training, but they're just really good at arm wrestling. And there's a limit. Eventually they will get to their ceiling. And it happens for many reasons. One is muscle adaptation. So you're not putting on stressor that will make you reach another level. Another one is injuries. Your muscles are really overworked on one specific thing. The capacity for you to get stronger. And this is how I always look. If you do general or gym training or specific arm wrestling training, you're increasing your capacity to get better. And you're not overdoing, there's the things that in arm wrestling get overworked. Like your inner elbow will always have more stress than your outer elbow. Supination, pronation, things that you really don't do that much in your real life, like staying and pronating hard. Your body's like, hey, we should not be doing that too much. And when you don't have a gym where you go and do your heavy bicep curls, where you supinate hard, you don't bring in the balance to your training. So there's a reason for gym training, for everything else. But arm wrestling, like most combat things, and arm wrestling is a mix of strength and combat. Everyone thinks like it's strong. It is combat up until the point. Like a lot of guys get into the sport and they, as soon as they can, they go to the gym and do wrist curls and do all the things, and they just need to get stronger side pressure, back pressure, pronation, everything else. But the problem most of the time is it's that you just need to understand what you're doing. And you need to spend a lot of time understanding what you're doing. When you don't punish yourself that much, where you can recover, that's the best zone to work on. A lot of guys will overdo it. They will go into another box. They're like, just overdid it. Cannot train on table. Everything is hurting too much. So it's very hard to find that silver line or that pathway you should follow. But it's if it feels like you've done too much, most likely you have done too much. Arm wrestling table practice and everything else. Like when you're starting the sport and you're strong, you're coming in from another sport or anything else, that's what you should be focusing on. Get more on table. Try to understand, not just do it, but understand what you're doing. Try to figure out what is working, what is not working. That time on table will transfer all that strength you have to the table. But if you just come in, you're really strong and you're like, hey, I can do 100 kilos bicep curls, but I should be doing 150, but you still don't know how to arm wrestle, that will not help your arm wrestling at all. It's a skill that you practice, and if you practice it long enough, and some guys I've been talking about Min for quite some time, Min August sides, he doesn't do real general strength training, but he's a great arm wrestler. Whenever he gets on table to practice with you, his practice is another whole thing, and just keeps making him better. And he will do some exercises, some stuff at home a little bit, but it's not even close to what some arm wrestlers are doing. Talking about Ryan, Ryan tested his strengths on bench press and push-ups, and everyone already knows that story, and everyone's kind of making fun of him. But the thing is, arm wrestling, as much as everyone wants, it's none of this moment. There's really not that much. Very rarely someone will press you over the pad. Uh, you know, most of the time you're either locked in position when you press or you rotate inwards, but there's not really that much of your arms going, forward. So I would I would I would ask Ryan to do different exercises. Test your strength on, pulling motion, on bicep curl, and you'll be way above the average. That's how I believe it. Because the strength on this part is just not developed. Still, adding some bench press, adding some push-ups, adding something that will balance all this, all the force coming this way to going this way, will increase the capacity, will take away the stress from your joints, from tendons and things like that, and you will work harder, longer. You will be, better eventually. So there's a reason to do it. But in arm wrestling, like, just looking at some general lifts, like, it doesn't matter how much you can bench, deadlift, squat. It all comes down to arm wrestling. Are you good? Are you transferring all that strength to your arm wrestling? And one more time, if you're starting and you're just getting better, you don't know how to arm wrestle. Like, be really critical of what you're doing. Like, if you think you're 5, 4, 3 years in, you think you know how to arm wrestle, no, you don't. No. It's always continuous progress of understanding techniques, feeling, getting the feel on table. And when you reach that, then you can figure out some exercises that will transfer that strength or increase the strength in specific positions where you get to those positions. Like the subject of Ryan Bowen, because Ryan's been, he's trying many different training styles, Tadzilla style and everything else. And we had this talk and we sit down and I'm like, hey man, you don't really arm wrestle like that. He told me he would beat me in a hook. And I said, like, man, like, look at your matches when you actually have initiated a hook and beat someone in a hook. And he's like, oh man, like, I think you're right. Because everyone has their gifts. That's how I see it. Everyone has their gifts. If you look at my style, you'll pretty much understand where my gifts is. If you look at Ryan's, Giannis, it doesn't matter. Name your favorite arm wrestler. There will be a pattern on how they arm wrestle. That's their strength. That's their strongest point. So there's no reason to go away from it. You should more lean into it. The only time you should go away from it was when you get injured. But overall, general training, think about this. Like, I want to do this as long as possible, be as healthy as I can. Want my arms to straighten out. If I can get full range of motions in my arms when I'm 40, 50, I think that's good. But King's move is very tempting. But if I'm training, like, trained body will recover faster, will deal with injuries better, and just will be stronger. So think about this, like, you should do conditioning work if you don't do anything else. But if you're just starting arm wrestling for first months, anything, you can do gym training. But just focusing on lifting big weights when you don't know what you're doing on table will not do any help to you. Do, big volume work, my best suggestion, big volume work in a gym for specific or non-specific arm wrestling exercises, and then go on table and try to be in the moment where you arm wrestle. Understand how you arm wrestle. Okay, this is what I'm doing. This is what I need to do. These muscles, muscle groups, fundamentals. This is what I'm activating. This is what I'm accessing. And so just something, because I think it's a big topic right now. Ryan is he's like, hey, doesn't make sense. I'm this good on table, but this bad with general lifts. And I think, like, general training for him, it will definitely help him. Like, it will definitely help him. It will bring him to another level for sure. It will just take time and effort. So hope this helps to someone. Stay strong. Love arm wrestling.